are you? I'm very good.
I'm
Thank
doing
you.
great. Thanks for asking. How was your day so far?
Pretty well. We have some really interesting rain going on here in Los Angeles. I don't. Where are you located?
I'm up in Bismarck, North Dakota, home of five below on the average February. So it was that
I was
cold.
gonna say, never mind.
Nah, don't worry. No, don't worry
You don't
about it.
care about
No,
you don't care about my weather.
I
I
definitely
thought that.
care about your weather. I'll tell you one thing. I like to have your rain in 40, just good for the crops and everything. But of course, if Abraham were alive, millions of people would be suing him for the song "It Never Rains in Southern California" because he says it never rains, and look what's happening. So,
No, I love it. I so love the rain. I grew up in Minnesota, so I know what you're doing.
oh, did you? Okay, so
Hmm.
yeah, because yeah, my boss over at KFYR, Todd Mitchell, grew up in the Twin Cities as well too, so he knows all about it. So all that good stuff. So yeah, so I know what you mean. But we got 40-degree weather here, and of course there may be some flooding going on. But the major river where it's at, it's been dry for about quite a few years. But right now it's like we're so looking forward to it. My boys just love fishing. It's like we're getting some water back in the fish. I says, "Yep, that's
Yeah.
right." So good.
Yeah, well, I drove past the LA River when I first got here, and everyone said that's the LA River, and I thought they were kidding me. I thought they were teasing because it was nothing but a concrete embankment. And then eventually it filled in, and I went, "Oh, it really is a river."
Oh
But there
my
was no
gosh.
no water in it at all. I thought, no, I thought they were kidding. I thought that's very funny, the LA River.
The LA River, yeah, and we thought it was Skid Row too. It's like that's a river itself.
Yeah.
So, exactly. Okay. All right. So as you know, this is going to be recorded, although we will feel live, and we'll play back at a later date.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show brings you famous celebrities and amazing people from all over the world. Listen online at themikewagnershow.com and on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And watch the interview on YouTube. So sit back and relax and enjoy the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking a budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable, custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support at sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show is brought to you by Evan Fine of the Senior Reserve Group. When you start thinking about retirement, who are you going to call about Medicare? Why call the best? Evan Fine of Senior Reserve Group, specializing in Medicare, health, and long-term care insurance. Evan can be reached at 1-800-650-9357. That's 1-800-650-9357. Or email to evanfine@seniorreservegroup.com. Evan is licensed in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Delaware, South Carolina, and Florida. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. Also, check our Facebook page, facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can also download and listen on SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And also, watch the interview on YouTube as well. We're here with Twin Cities native, now living in Los Angeles. She's been in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Night of the Comet, TV's Ryan's Hope, One Life to Live, and many, many films. And of course, she's the one that got the start with many who also appeared in Fast Times, like with Sean Penn, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Judge Reinhold, and more. And before you say, "Hey, bud, let's party," we're going to bring on the Twin Cities party of the Twin Cities. And yes, she is the queen of the Twin Cities. Ladies and gentlemen, Kelli Maroney. Kelli, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Mike. Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. And of course, it's being heard globally, so it can be listened anytime. That's the best part about it. So you lived in the Twin Cities for a while, and you appeared in Fast Times with Ridgemont High, Night of the Comet, TV's Ryan Hope, One Life to Live, and you're also involved in one of the most groundbreaking films of 1982, which also came out with Sean Penn, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Judge Reinhold, and many more. And plus, you also got some upcoming projects as well, too. You also got The Giant Monster, and also Rock and Roll Incorporated, and many more as well too. And first, before we get into about your films as well too, tell us how you got started in acting.
I always wanted to be an actress. I used to watch movies with my mom. It gets very cold in the wintertime in Minnesota. But that was my favorite thing to do, is watch movies with her. And then I also watched horror movies on Saturday afternoon. Just the way that my mom, the look on her face watching the movies, I just thought, that's what I want to do. I want to be in there making other people feel like I saw the look on my mom's face. And so that's all I ever wanted to do. But, you don't always think that, I could just grow up and be in the movies. You don't think that. But I really, really worked hard on it. I went over and apprenticed at the Guthrie Theater when I was a kid. And when I was still a teenager, I went to the National Shakespeare Company Conservatory. And while I was there in New York City with $500 to my name and nothing else, waiting for school to start with no place to live, actually, I accidentally got a soap opera.
And that is on Ryan's Hope, or?
Yes. And so for a couple of years, I was the evil Lolita on that show. And then that established me because I was already working, so I didn't have to go through a lot of what the other, what other actresses had to do to break in, and, because they already accepted me as a professional because I was working every day. And that was the best thing that could have happened to me. Because then from there, people came to New York and I auditioned for the lead in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, but I ended up as the cheerleader. Don't ask me how that happened, because up until then, I had always played like evil killers and psychotic people. And I was evil on the soap, and another film that I'd done, I was a psychotic killer. And then all of a sudden I got cast as this cheerleader. So, and then I got cast as another cheerleader after that. So, I don't know. On the East Coast, I was evil, and on the West Coast, I was a cheerleader. And I don't know what that says about the country, but whatever.
Yes, killing cheerleaders, or cheerleaders killing with kindness. I guess that's the best way to put it. It's like, I guess that's a new breed that's going to happen in Hollywood. Now that you mentioned it.
Well, I think it's the level of intensity with which I was throwing myself into everything, which, when in doubt, just throw yourself into something 200%. You can't go wrong. Mm-hmm. Even if you go wrong, you're still committed, you're still making an impression there.
Oh, yes. and of course, you're known for being a cheerleader on Fast Times at Ridgemont High. You work with Sean Penn, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Judge Reinhold, mm-hmm. Phoebe Cates, Forrest Whitaker, Eric Stoltz, Nicolas Cage, and the late Lana Clarkson. And many of those had gone on to bigger and better things. And what were your expectations in that movie? Do you expect it to get this popular, or was it just to be another movie that was going to go by the wayside? What were your expectations after that film got out?
Well, it almost wasn't released because Universal said, we hate this. It's not a comedy. There's no laughs in it. There's an abortion in it. We don't know what to do with this. They almost shelved it, mm-hmm. which, if you want to figure out what's going to be a classic 20 years from now, look at what they don't want right now, because whatever gets rejected soundly is bound to be classic at some point. I didn't have expectations other than I had read the book, and I really loved the story. And when I got to the set, and it was probably because I was a kid and I'd never been to California before, and I certainly had never been on the Universal Studios lot before, it just seemed magical. And because I couldn't drive, the Teamsters picked me up in the morning, and I got there early, and I got to watch the sun come up and the studio come to life, and it was every bit as good as being in the movie. I mean, it was just so dramatic, and so I really felt there was something special about it. But other than that, I wasn't thinking in terms of I wasn't terribly Machiavellian at that point. I didn't think, what's this going to do for me? As a matter of fact, what's funny is Amanda Wiss, who's one of my co-stars in that movie, said, Kelly was the only famous person when we shot that movie, because I was on the soap.
Oh, that is something, and something we're aware. And what was it like working with all the names I mentioned, like with Sean Penn, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Judge Reinhold, and I already gave you a list as well, too. What was it like working with them, and who was the best to work with, and who was like the most challenging?
Well, I worked a lot with Pamela Springsteen because she was my sidekick. But we worked with everybody. I mean, it was an ensemble thing. Everybody, all of us kids, we were serious as a heart attack about what we were doing. Everybody that was very intent on being the best, like, you know, shooting for world-class actor. Nobody was goofing off. There was no such thing. Everybody was extremely professional. And so there was a lot of shenanigans of any kind going on. You know, I mean, as it's well documented, Sean walked around in character the entire time, and we're not introduced to Sean Penn until after the movie. We got to meet Spicoli, and if you didn't call him Spicoli, he wouldn't answer you.
Really?
At that point in time, he was a character that he really was trying to hang on to all the time, and he didn't want to get distracted, and so he was always Spicoli.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I knew a little bit about Sean was because again, I was there early because I didn't have a car. He also had to come in early because he had to have those extensions put on his hair. You know, that wasn't, I mean, that was extensions so that he could go and do other things, like not as Spicoli while we were shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was there and I was there, and the makeup lady would say, you know, you kids got to be nicer to Sean. He's a nice boy. He's such a sweet boy. But he wanted, you know, he was trying to alienate himself from us. And, it got to be such a friendly set that it was very hard to keep himself alienated, but he did it. And then I understand, I was already back in New York when it opened, but I understand he walked into the after party, you know, and said, and introduced himself, and he said, hello, I'm Sean, to everybody. And it was the first time he introduced himself as Sean. So they finally met Sean.
That is amazing. He actually opened up after doing the movie, and he was actually a shy person. Of course, he was personified as, he had some bad press, had a bad marriage to Madonna, and also, he ended up having a good marriage to, I'm trying to think of the lady. It's Robin something from The Princess Bride, who he ended up marrying. Robin Wright, that's it, Robin Wright. And funny enough, I've seen the movie several times, and here I am. I forget the last name of the actress. Shame on me. So. and it's amazing.
That's why you got me.
Yes.
That's why I'm here.
And it's amazing that all these, the names I mentioned were no names, from the beginning, but then it was just something magical that all of a sudden that they started getting these bigger roles and everything. Do you think that was part of the movie Fast Times, that they suddenly got the name recognition, or did it take like maybe another film, 2 or 3, for these names?
No, it was a real boiling pot of there was a groups of talent that were busy coming up, and it just so happened that they just hit a lot of people at once. But if you notice, there was a lot of stuff like that going on at the time. It was a really great time for young actors because everyone was taking it very seriously, and it was known as a craft, and it was respected probably more than it is today. And it just so happened that it was a perfect storm. They just got a whole bunch of really good people because it was a big cast.
Mm-hmm. And it's something that's amazing as well, too. And of course, you worked with the late Lana Clarkson, who was later murdered by Phil Spector. That was big all over. So what was it like working with her?
Well, I've done 2 movies with Lana Clarkson, and I never met her because she was in Fast Times as the teacher's hot wife, and then she was also in Chopping Mall, which I did. Neither time did I meet her, but I've been in 2 films with her. But that can happen very often in Hollywood.
That is amazing too. And of course, Nicolas Cage, he was in that movie, and he got big in Raising Arizona. And what do you think were the expectations on Nicolas Cage at the time? Do you think he was going to make it that big, or do you think it was going to flop?
Afterwards, I think he went and worked in a movie. The thing is, we weren't concerned about whether we were going to have successful careers or not. We were very focused on our work.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he went through something or another. I mean, he was also in Valley Girl, and I did Night of the Comet after they did Valley Girl. And I was told that he walked in there and he would stop by and say, "Thank you for casting me in Valley Girl. You started my career."
Nice. That's very nice.
He's very, very nice man. But, he was a Coppola.
Mm-hmm.
If you notice, in fact, he's a Coppola. So he grew up in the film business. I mean, his family's, that's a family business. And I think that he, what happened there, not just me, was because I had auditioned for Stacy, which is the Jennifer Jason Leigh role. He had auditioned for Brad, but they ended up using him as one of Brad's friends.
Uh-huh.
And that happened quite a bit. So Eric Stoltz also auditioned for the Spicoli character, but he ended up as a Spicoli friend.
Uh-huh.
and so on. So that's how, and Anthony Edwards too was